Broadcasting from the center of the universe in Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. This is the Renovating Life Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Kopak and Dan Carroll. And producer, Greg Natishan. Follow along on their journey to become real estate entrepreneurs and interview guests that will inspire you to take action in your life. Brought to you by Battlefield Real Estate Investments. Invest in real estate. Invest with Battlefield Real Estate Investments.
And we are back. A little COVID hiatus, but we're back up and running. Welcome to the Renovating Life Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Carroll. Thanks again for tuning in. For any additional information on investing in real estate, go to battlefieldrei.com. Greg Natishan, our producer over there. How you doing, man? Good.
Again.
That's right. Thanks for risking your life to come in the studio this evening. And as always, my good friend, business partner, and the man amongst men himself, Steve Kopak. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. I'm excited today. Should we talk about it now or talk about it later?
Today was a good day, absolutely. I want to introduce our guest first. We got Dave Vander Ploeg in studio. Thanks for coming in. Direct Response Media Group. Right? I said that right. I mean, I'm just reading your bio, and I mean, there's a lot that we can get into here. Steve and I had an interesting day today, and I would like to get into that maybe a bit later. But let's dive into Dave a little bit here. So, Direct Response Marketing Group. What do we have here? We've got so you're the managing partner of Direct Response Media Group, executive vice president since 2003. And am I reading this right? 170 million pieces of mailings annually.
Yeah. Actually, it's about if you take with our print division, it's actually closer to about 350 to 400 million pieces.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when they say print is not doing well, it all depends on which segment. Maybe newspaper is not, but we're doing pretty damn good.
You've been in the marketing business a long time. Money Saver Magazine, the founder of Money Saver Magazine, 1996. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it really is a long time ago, isn't it?
I turned 40 in like 12 days. That's a long time ago.
I know, right? And we're not going to be able to celebrate it.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Thanks to COVID.
Thanks, COVID.
Past president of the Stony Creek Chamber of Commerce, on advisory boards like Hamilton Health Sciences, Hamilton Conservation Foundation. Like, where do we start? I mean, you're from Stony Creek, right?
Yep.
And where did it all begin? It started with Money Saver?
Started with Money Saver here in Stony Creek. Actually, if you want to jump back probably about 5 years before that, I grew up in a renovation family. So my dad owned a chain of carpet stores, and I got introduced to advertising by buying it all.
By buying it all?
By buying, that's what he kind of threw me. You're in charge of our marketing, and got introduced to our Money Saver envelope. Now, if you go back far enough, it was a product called Action Pack, and started buying.
I remember that.
Yeah, I started buying it with my dad's carpet stores when I was about 21, and got involved with advertising and just saw the results that it could do to your business, and was wowed by it, and went to school for economics, and it was interesting thing on ROI calculation, and liked it and got involved, and away we go 20-something years later.
Right. 24 years it says here that you've been, where'd you go to school? McMaster for university, and then I went to Churchill for most of my career, and then finished it off at Barton, because apparently you get kicked out of school if you go skiing for 3 weeks. Good grades.
Yeah, good grades.
Bad
get
attendance.
The fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Really? They kicked you out?
I went down for a week before March break, met some buddies at the end of March break, and stayed down for another week with some guys from Ohio. And when I got back up here, they said, "You're no longer welcome." So.
Wow. Churchill, eh? My sister works at Churchill. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell her that story.
Great school. Great school.
Yeah.
You fuckers kicked out the Money Saver guy. You guys are stupid.
I know.
It could have been on your resume.
Well, actually, I'm 3 courses shy from graduating at Mac, and I introduced the dean of the School of Business once at a chamber function, and I said, my 4 years at Mac to get my 3-year degree, which I'm still a third of a year shy on, was the best time of my life. And afterwards, he pulled me aside and said, "Hey, we don't really like that intro. That was you're supposed to have graduated if you're doing well."
Right. Absolutely. Just imagine how much better you'd be doing if only you'd graduated,
Yeah.
right? Oh my God. So you're an entrepreneur, right? I mean, what drew you to being in business for yourself and not just wanting to go get a quote unquote real job?
You know what? It was fortune favors the foolish. Like when I was in my mid-20s, I was working for my dad, still buying advertising, and he came into me one day and said, "I've just sold the business, and I'm retiring, and you're fucked."
You're fucked. He didn't even offer it to you?
No. It was you went from a corner office to unemployed. So some friends of mine, I was buying advertising from them, and I liked what they were doing. So I started something, and it was hellishly scary that first little bit.
Sure.
But you go across, from what it started to where we are and what we are today, it's a totally different. It's kind of gone from advertising mail, what people call junk mail even,
Right.
to smart mail, where it's so digitally integrated now, and performance tracking. Like, we can tell you all the anecdotal stuff that you would see normally with print advertising has been
Right.
replaced with just empirical tracking, and it's just such a different animal. But the journey has been stellar. So you think, in year one, we did 20,000 pieces of mail here in Stony Creek. And last year, even during COVID, I think we were only down maybe 20 million pieces year over year in total circulation.
Right.
Oh, wow.
How did you start? Were you just you started this business? Are you knocking on doors and saying, "I'd like to advertise for you"?
Yeah,
How do you
literally.
start that?
And you're turning 40. I just turned 50. So this will show the age, though. I went up and down. I drove up and down Stony Creek and wrote the businesses down that I would think
Needed your help.
would do well with direct mail. So
Yeah.
I'd been tracking what was going on, and put it all into Lotus Notes 1, 2, 3.
Lotus 1, 2, 3.
And came up with my first call sheet, and then just started dialing. And I remember the very first day, I had this thing dialed in, and I figured, I was slick. This was just going to go. And I went and I talked to maybe 50 to 75 different businesses, and I've never realized how many different ways you can be told to F off in one afternoon.
That's awesome.
And I went back to my dad's house, and I sat down, I was having a beer with him, and I said, "You know what? I've mapped all this stuff out. I know the pricing is right. I know the strategy is right. I know all of this, and I don't know." And then funny thing happened. I got 2 phone calls. One was from a local video store, and one was from a local pizza shop that said, "Hey, we saw your package that you dropped off. We'll buy some ads." And got up the next day, did another 75 to 100 calls and or door knocks, and got told to screw off many different ways. And 2 people bought.
Now you're starting to see a pattern.
I'm seeing a pattern develop here.
Yeah.
And then it was, you run that cycle ahead, and where you can think you're a unique and delicate flower. If you jump ahead 25 years, we sit on some different boards for marketing and advertising across all of North America. And it's whether you're in TV, radio, digital, print media, it's pretty well the same. If you talk to anyone in media, it's talk to 100 people.
Get one.
90 are going to, everyone, and all the new sales reps go, 100 people a day. Oh my God. And you say, no, well, think about it. 50 people are not going to be there. You're just going to leave quick messages.
Yeah.
And then you've got the next 40 you talk to that are going to tell you no. And then you're down to 10. 5 will say, give you a soft yes. Yeah, sure, drop off something and we'll think about it. And then you're going to engage with 3 to 5 people. And one or two are going to say yes, and then you get up the next day and do the same thing, and you rinse, wash, repeat, and it's all about the pattern of getting up and the routine.
Right.
And the best people in this business are the ones that have that ingrained pattern and routine and just get up and go to work every day.
Right. Where do you attribute, where do you think you got that from? Is that something that you developed? Like, did you have those times you're like, holy crap, like, what am I doing? Or are you just that person that just, nope, I'm doing this?
It comes down to, I just think you find something that you're comfortable with and you're passionate about, and whether it is, selling carpet, which is what I grew up doing, or selling advertising. It's if you like it, you'll love it, and if you love doing it, then you don't have a problem getting up in the morning and going to do what you do. And in advertising, it was really fantastic because nobody really wants to talk to you after close of day, and everyone wants to talk to you and have you buy you a beer. So for me, it worked out really well. Awesome. Right. And I never loved getting up early, but I had a great pitter patter where you would get up in the morning and you'd call those contractors and you'd say, well, how about I meet you first thing in the morning? Because if you can take them out for breakfast, you don't got to buy them beer, so it's a cheap, cheap purchase. Cheap. And they said, well, what time's first thing for you? And I said, well, I start my day at 6 a.m. I don't. Yeah. And this one guy that owned a metal roofing company said, you do? Well, let's meet for 6:30 then, because I start my day at 6 too, and all you advertising guys always like to meet for lunch or late in the day. So this is good that you want to meet early. Let's meet in Mississauga for 6:30. And I went, oh, shit, what did I just step into?
Got to get up at 4:30. I got to shower, shave.
But I came home with a $20,000 order and a $5,000 check. And at 26, you're going, that was worth getting up early for.
Oh, yeah.
Right. What year would that have been? Holy crap.
96.
Quick math. No, that was 90. Okay, that was the first year. Okay, I'm digging a little deeper into the money saver. Like, where were you printing physically? Was this in your garage or like?
No. It's then we were printing at a local print plant here in Grimsby, and then it ended up from there. We went from a newsprint edition to a gloss edition, which was printed at a place in Fort Erie called American Color Graphics, and then from there it morphed over time with different printers across Canada, and about 18 months ago, our ownership group, we ended up being vertically integrated where we own our own print facility, one of the largest printers in Canada.
Oh, beautiful.
That's interesting. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they're thinking of maybe getting into business or something, there's a lot of barriers to entry, and you had a particular skill in connecting with people and sales, but you didn't own your own print factory. You're just like, I'm going to source that out, and then I'm going to sell the advertising and put it all together, and boom.
Well, and you're right. I mean, and it's first of all, this is not. Don't get me wrong. This is not the house that Dave built. We have. I've got a bunch of partners, and we're all passionate about getting up, working incredibly hard. I think actually today I told my wife I'd be home at 4:00 and got home at 6:30. It's because we tackled a project at the office, and you roll sleeve and you dig in and you work and you have fun. But I think that's the hallmark of any business that you get into is if you are willing to put the time, energy, and effort in, you'll get the results out.
We're going to see a wave of people that these so-called entrepreneurs or work at home, like make your millions from your computer, right? But I think what a lot of people don't recognize is the amount of work that actually goes into being successful.
Well, yeah, I love LinkedIn. I never knew there was that many CEOs in the world.
That's right.
You've got business professionals and you've got business hobbyists, and
yes,
and in any career, in any field, if you're gonna go down a path, grab life, like grab it and go.
Both feet.
Grab it by the horns.
Yeah. Like we've got one of our top sales guys who will earn in an average year, he can earn up to twice what we're doing, just a bit. But he gets up. This is a guy that doesn't have a problem being drop shipped into anywhere I was actually laughing because a year ago we drop shipped them into Edmonton and Calgary, and we were out there this week last year when life as we knew it screeched to a halt. So I flew home. I flew home from Edmonton last year, Friday the 13th, and I left the Fairmont in Edmonton, and there was like 6 people in the whole hotel. Got to the Edmonton airport, and I think there was like maybe 5 people in the entire airport. It was spooky.
Yeah.
It's Friday of March break.
Yeah, we were supposed to be on a plane to Cuba.
And flew home, and but I mean, Accental was out there with me, or the gentleman that was with us, and this is a guy that has no problem getting up in the morning, going anywhere in the country, and making 200 phone calls a day, 5 meetings, 10 meetings a day, and just loves it. And then you can get some other person that will come in and go, I don't know if I can talk to 10 people a day.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I know.
But no matter what career you pick, you know, if you go whole hog, you'll do well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I like how you started outsourcing stuff right from the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Dave's the guy that called me an idiot the other day because I got all those postal codes all in a spreadsheet.
Right, exactly.
I made it all nice. I did 3 hours of homework, and he's like, "That's not how this."
Well, and like
That's
you
not how
said, this
goes."
isn't the house that Dave built.
Yeah.
You have to know what your strengths are, and not necessarily what your weaknesses, but maybe your weakness is not having enough time and just picking something to focus on.
Oh, I can give you kudos. Yeah, like we've got a couple of, you know, if you want to talk about understanding how to do things properly, it's all going to be about optimizing your mix. So, and you picked number one. You did it right. You figured out what's your strategy and planning, and you were figuring out your strategy.
Yeah.
And then, but from there, you want to get the professionals to help. And whether that's doing a reno or like the segue, or doing advertising, you call in the experts, and it comes down to, like, we know through trial and effort, we know what ads would work for most categories, and if you're not in if you're not in one of the categories that would work for direct mail. Mm-hmm. We're the first ones to say, we can give it a try, but we've got track records. You know, if you talk any of your big reno categories, so whether it is kitchens, bath, flooring, decks, exterior, landscaping, we know for each area, like, what's your demographic, who are the customers that you're looking for, what's the message that you should be putting out, what's the proper ad, and I'll play with a restaurant. Like, if you come to us and you had a restaurant and you said, hey, I want to do $1 off lunch special, we're going to say, no, put your money back in your pocket. It's not going to work. Let's just take a look at these are the types of offers that are going to pull customers in. So for your type of ad, like we were talking, what's the right targeting? What's the right message? Figure that out. And then once you have that, then we figure out, how do we craft that message? How do we put it into the right hands of the consumer? And then how do we measure the results? Because that's really where, you know, advertising is one of those weird things where you can someone that we know was building day spas, and they said it's the weirdest thing. We can get someone to come in and spend $50,000 outfitting the spa with granite everywhere and TVs on the walls. Mm-hmm. But then you ask them to advertise, and they give you that whistle. I don't know. Should I really do it? And it's because advertising has got that bit of esoterical. I got a G note right here, and if I give you this G note for an ad, am I getting the G note back?
Right. How do you track success? I would imagine it's got to be a lot easier now than it was back then. But I don't how are you tracking success rate, based on an advertising campaign?
What a great question. Through digital integration of the ads. So, whether it's call tracking metrics, so we can put a special phone number on, landing pages that we're directing it to, QR codes where they can just hover and all of the information will pop up, and even API interfaces. So, like, depending on the business, some people will let us do these things and some people won't. So, like, there's a large insurance company that said, no, we can't use our own phone number, and we don't want to have any weird extensions. So we just tracked in with an API interface, and we could just measure their lift in the areas that they were advertising, and we could track it just by the lift in their website landing pages. But on the other side of it, we have performance tracking like crazy, that we can see this is exactly how many phone calls, how many website visits, how many interactions that you experience. And if you're a QSR or a quick service restaurant or a dine-in restaurant, some of them are still just going to count the coupons that get redeemed at the tip.
Right. Are you guys developing the websites too, or are you just doing?
Oh yeah, we've got a full digital division, but that's not the core of our business. The core of our business is going to be leading customers to your business, because I don't want to, we don't want to compete with that local web developer. That's more of their expertise. We would rather get you to your landing page.
Sure.
Get you to your website, and that's where we're experts.
Right.
We are the best in the business that will find the customer and get them to you.
Interesting.
Like with those QR codes, the way you're developing the tracking, does it go somewhere first and says, "Ooh, this is a hit from my ad," and then goes to their landing page, or
it can go right to their website? But no, well, QR codes they're ancient.
Yeah, but there's so much shit you can do with them.
They're ancient. They're at least 7 to 10 years old.
I know.
Yeah.
No, what's good about it though is that it gives you that brief touch point pause where we can have the Google Analytics pick up and find out where you're hovering from, what's your IP address, and it's just all that hyper rich data that comes in, and whether it's that half-second touch point and then it takes you just to your regular website, or it goes into a form fill, or it goes into any one of a myriad of landing page type scenarios where you're filling some information. And the great thing, if you can say the great thing about COVID is that everyone is now used to, again, going into a restaurant and hovering their phone, and it's just whether you're COVID screening or you're ordering from a menu or giving us and or any of our advertisers that are doing the performance tracking, you're used to, and when I say you, it's whether you're 10, 20, or 90, you're used to hovering your phone over a QR code, and or dialing the phone and. So, I mean, but again, it does take it that advertising has the ability to be empirical now.
Seems like you work with a lot of restaurants. You kind of alluded to that a little bit, but I would imagine you work with all types of businesses, from like realtors, even stuff like that. Are they?
Yeah, actually, we have a top 10, 20, 30, and 50 list that we have, and I'd say probably of the top 50 categories that advertise across Canada, about 40 of them are going to be in the home rental business.
Oh, okay.
Real estate and home renovations is the backbone of the business.
Okay, interesting. I had a question chambered right there. So I'm, there's the print side. Are you are you doing social media advertising for people as well? Like, are you like a
we have a digital division. But again, most of the companies that are coming to us, depending on the SKU, they already have a social media platform or a social media side of it. And if you are a smaller business, more often than not, you've got Bob, your nephew, or Bob, your cousin, or Bob, your son, that's doing that. And again, let people be experts at what they think they're experts at. We know we're experts at the customer journey of targeting your customer and getting them to your place of business. Right. Sometimes that place of business is physical. Sometimes that place of business is a virtual showroom. Right. How you're building your virtual showroom, that's a, the digital ecoverse is so splintered. I've got a graph somewhere, and it showed how fast the different ways you can digitally advertise, and it went in like a 7 to 10 year period. It went from 7 to 10 different ways to go online to 25,000.
Right.
So to be an expert in all things digital is just you're going to bust your teeth.
So you're using your niche, print marketing, to get people to their respective platforms. Then
Correct.
Yeah, but you'll also help with the design and all that kind of stuff too, right?
Yeah, it's especially when it comes to like the landing page and understanding how we can build the performance tracking. I'd rather work with you on the performance tracking, but for a lot of folks, that might just be all they need for a website. You know, if they have that landing page and it has their offer and it has what they're tying their print into, that for a lot of folks, that's enough. But that's the key. Whatever you're doing in a print verse, make sure you're doing in your digital universe as well, because you don't want to have them go online and what you're doing on print is jarringly different than what you're doing online. And the offers can't be different. And the weird thing is right now, there's a resurgence in your mailbox. And if you think about the weird statement there, everyone loves their mailbox again. You don't get your bills in your mailbox, but you get your jeans, you get your Amazon, you get your clothes, you get everything. Like coming home, the journey at your mailbox is now everything. It's your shopping mall.
Yeah.
It's your, you get that knock on the door and you've got a parcel, you've got your paper, you've got your food delivery, you've got everything coming to your house. To shop at home.
I don't know, I'm still like an old school guy with the print shit, right? Like the digital ads on my phone, they piss me off. It's like, get the fuck out of here. This is not why I'm on my phone.
There's nothing worse than like an advertising popping up in the middle of a video. If you want to lose my business,
that's
interrupt
worst.
what I'm watching.
Yeah. And it's always an ad. You were talking about it like 5 minutes before.
Oh yeah.
That's
for sure.
horrible.
I know, right?
Like I still read the newspaper in the morning.
Oh, I do too. I get a couple different newspapers, but now I've got a slightly different one. I want to see who's advertising in them, so that's one of the reasons.
Oh, okay. You're doing it for
research. Research. I like
no,
it.
but I love the tactile is it's
Don't worry, I'll edit that out.
You leave it in.
The tactile experience of reading and flipping, and the weird thing is the best thing about advertising is, for us in our universe of print, and it doesn't matter if it's our stuff or the Canadian Tire flyer or anything, we're real. You can throw us. And one of my favorite comments that we get is, "Oh, I don't use that shit. I throw it in the recycling bin." I said, "Yeah, you're supposed to." Like, and we know that the female head of the household, and I love it when guys say, "Oh no, I'm in charge of my house." I say, "Yeah, really? Who picked out your dining room table, your kitchen appliances, your TV?"
Oh, yeah.
I picked out the TV.
Right.
Did you have a size restriction and a budget? Well, yeah, we did talk about that. So, how much do we control our house is always an interesting question. But we're honest. Like, you think about it, the average house has 5+ TVs that all have 100 TVs, and now it's even more splintered with different viewing devices. Netflix, streaming, Crave, everything. You can skip. You don't see commercials. Satellite TV. I'm in media. I have satellite TV at my house, my cottage, my car. You never listen to a commercial. And yet, when the mail comes, and whether it's us or a flyer, you can throw it in the recycling bin, sure. But if you touch it and you interact with it, you don't think there's a plot. I'm not opening up this magazine or the big red Canadian Tire flyer because there's some intriguing plot or storyline that you want to read. It's very simple. Is there something in here I feel like buying? And gotcha. That's it. We've done the job.
Yeah.
It's not up to us at that point to convince them to put a new deck or do your basement. It's just, hey, I was thinking about doing it, and now this is a call to action. It's getting me to get off my ass, and it's a call to action.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think we'll take a quick break, but when we come back, I'd like to get into we'll go into the trenches a little bit there, talk about it. It's been a few months since we've been online. There's been a lot of changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I also want to get into a little bit of the process too. When somebody's contacting you, or when you're contacting them, like what's the process that will that you take the customer through, and how how do they gauge their experience and the services that you provide for them. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
And now, back to the Renovating Life podcast.
We are back. Print marketing mogul Dave Vander Ploeg in the studio, Direct Response Marketing Group. I mean, it's been a few months since we've been in the studio, but I feel like we've gone through a year's worth of changes, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's been so much going on in our business and personal lives and all that kind of stuff. Before we get into it, at the beginning of the show, in the intro, we say the center of the universe, Stoney Creek, Ontario, and that for me was kind of a tip of the hat to a man, a good one, not just a good one, a great one that we lost recently, Walter Gretzky. Greg and I actually had the honor of actually meeting the man and going to his house and hanging out and watching Hockey Night in Canada with him. And even after when Team Canada won gold, I actually got him to call us on the phone afterwards to say hi to everybody, right? So I passed the phone around so Wally got to say hi. So just a cheers to Walter Gretzky, the Canada's hockey dad, and just a all around good guy. Cheers.
Cheers.
What's changed? I mean, we
the real estate market.
The real estate
Fucking
market
nuts.
has completely gone off the rails.
Yeah.
In that time, so we were supposed to have closed on Woodlawn out in Grimsby, and that still hasn't closed yet.
No.
Not because of us, but we did take possession of an off-market deal on Adair, and not Adair Avenue, not on Adair.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so funny. I mean, when I negotiated that deal, we were expecting, a $30,000-$40,000 profit on it. Now we're looking at over $100,000 just because of the shift in the market,
crazy.
right?
Like we only really wanted to do that project was just to keep our guys busy, like our contractors working, and it's turned into craziness. We actually sold it. It's not even finished yet.
Right.
Like he put a word out on Facebook?
On Facebook. So basically, because I am a realtor as well, I mean, when you looked at the market at the beginning of this year, there was no listings. There was none. I mean, if you were looking for a townhouse, I think there was the first week in January, in all of Hamilton and Stoney Creek, there was 7 townhouses for sale. Actually, there was none in Stoney Creek. And usually at that time of the year, in January, you're looking at over 100. So we're seeing prices, skyrocketing and all this kind of stuff. But one thing that we notice is that I'm always keeping an eye on how many new listings there are that week versus how many solds, right? And I mean, the solds were way outpacing the number of listings, but over the past couple of weeks, we started seeing listings now outpacing solds. So what we saw back in 2017 was all of a sudden the market went nuts, and then it just kind of boom, and it came down a little bit. It didn't crash, but all of a sudden it just it lost all its momentum. So what we thought was, okay, why don't I just start advertising this online now as being available prior to being sold, prior to being finished, because I wasn't sure by that time that we're done that the wind wouldn't be out of the sales of the market. So I wanted to try and sell it now, and we ended up getting a deal on it that I can't believe it's selling for that much, but I mean it is market value now, which is insane to think.
I mean, if we would have listed it, potentially we could have made a little bit more money,
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's closing in a couple weeks,
Right.
so we don't have to list it. We don't have to wait for a 3-month close. We don't have to hold on to it. It's just gone.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
we can move on to our next project.
Yeah, nobody ever lost money taking a profit, right?
No, but if you go back 1 year ago, who would have thought that a worldwide pandemic would finally make the Stoney Creek real estate market pop?
No kidding.
Oh, I know.
Well, and Steve and I were actually on the home stretch of our first project together. And we were thinking, oh my God, we're gonna,
Yeah, what's
this
this
is it.
COVID stuff? Like, man, we should take the first offer we get. We did because we didn't know.
Well, I ended up dropping the price because all of a sudden CMHC is coming out saying there's going to be a 30% price drop immediately. And I'm like, I'm doing the quick math. Like, that's a pretty big loss.
Yeah, we're gonna lose money here.
So I dropped it down and we took a smaller profit on that one, only to realize, no, the market didn't crash. So we went out and bought another house. We bought East 44 and then we bought Shamrock right after
East
that.
44th? Mm-hmm. My grandparents had a house on that street.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we still have it. So we did a buy fix refinance on that, and we pulled 100% of our money out. So we have essentially a free cash flowing property. I mean, that's a home run. We call that in the business there, right? So
those are gone now. I don't know what the prices today. They're gone, I think.
Oh yeah.
Prices got to come down.
If you're doing a buy fix refi in Hamilton now, you're probably looking at keeping having $100,000 still left in there. So what do? You can still keep buying here, knowing that, and it's still a good investment. But I mean, you can start looking at other markets now, which we're doing as well.
Do we want to talk about that market, or do we want to keep it a secret?
I have a question.
Maybe we'll get into it a little more when I start building up
the
the team a
doorbell.
little
Hit the
bit.
doorbell. You're not allowed to talk.
Wait,
There we go.
Who's there?
Who's there?
white as I, producer Greg. Question: in the market, with the market the way it is now, at least temporarily, is flipping dead or resto modding dead?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't say so. In fact, I mean, this is the perfect example. Like we're actually profiting over double what we expected to earn on the dare.
Now, is that a timing thing because you got it before the boom?
Yeah.
For that amount, definitely,
Yeah,
for sure.
We just got lucky.
Right. But I mean, no, you bring up a good point. I mean, everything is. I mean, Steve and I went out to see a couple of properties this past week, and we're like, "There's no way we're getting into it." On the, like,
Which one was the foundation buckling on? Was that Regina?
No, that was on Britannia.
Yeah.
All walls in the basement were U-shaped.
Tell Dave what it was listed for, and then tell Dave what it sold for.
I can't remember what it was listed.
Like it
for.
needed
Was
$50,000 worth of foundation work.
Yeah, it was listed $299. And it sold for like $430, $440, something ridiculous.
A buddy of mine's a contractor, and he did the same thing. Him and his wife are looking for another place, and they called a real estate buddy of his. He thought he had a listing going up, and he said, "Yeah, that place needs a lot of work. What do you think I can get it under listing?" And he goes, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah, you're not.
They're taking bids.
Yeah,
and it's interesting, and for every sign one way, you're looking at another sign another way. The Bank of Canada just said they're not changing interest rates for 2 years.
Right.
That normally would be what we're going to use to cool off the market.
Mm-hmm.
The Economist.
Yeah, but they're worried.
Kick off there. Yeah, but they're worried. I'm not worried so much
because real estate is like helping our economy kind of move forward right now.
But we're all sitting at home. So right now, I don't have my stats in front of me, but the amount they just released a note on the billions that Canadians have saved in the last year that are just sitting there as pent up demand.
Yep.
And you take a look. Renovation company after renovation company that's advertising with us had banner years, record years.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to one group that owns a decking company, and they said, the weirdest thing. So at the start, a tractor trailer worth of lumber that would do all the underpinning for the deck because it was all composite decking on top. But they said that the joists and everything underneath, if that tractor trailer load was $100,000 last March, it went to $150,000, and now it's at $200,000.
Oh yeah,
it just the price of lumber,
right.
And it's not just that. It's whether I ordered a hot tub for the backyard 7 months ago, and it was supposed to be in for December. Then it got moved to Jan, Feb, and apparently. It's coming in sometime in March.
Oh yeah, so is Woodlawn apparently.
Right.
But I mean, we're sitting there fixing up the only place accessible to us, and then you do have that knock on the door where they're saying, "Okay, do you want to cash out? Do you want to move left, right?" And you have a bunch of baby boomers that are at the right age bracket. My parents are just a couple blocks away from here, and they just said, well, what's our house worth? And they're,
Right.
should we look at moving? But the problem is, where do you move to?
Right.
And that's, we ski. So like we hang out with a bunch of guys, not this year because we can't go across the border. We usually ski in Ellicottville. And all of those guys have always had this issue where Canadians would grow up, get to school, get married, get their career, and stay in the Golden Horseshoe. And all the U.S. guys, almost called them Yankees. They don't like that too much.
Okay.
But they are from the tri-state area, and their kids grow up and move because it's always very expensive for them to stay in the bigger cities. We've never experienced that, and now that's the only concern that I would have is we're gonna have to buy some houses here and put them away for the kids.
Right.
If you want your kids to
be local,
like your parents are
this way. Yeah, they're right
Next
next
door.
door.
right next door. My parents are a kilometer away or less. My brother's a kilometer and a half away. We got a whole bunch of family in here, and that's the only concern. Like, does that charm of Golden Horseshoe start to disperse now when everyone has dispersed out of the condo towers in Toronto to come take all the property, which is great when you sell once.
Yeah.
Not so great when
When you're trying
your
to sell
kids
and
want-
buy. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be dead honest, a lot of the reason I'm doing this with Dan and the reason we started this real estate investment business is because I'm worried, how are my kids going to afford to buy a house?
Right.
Like I grew up near my grandparents. I grew up near my parents. Even when we bought the townhouse, it was in Winona. It was still only a 5-minute drive to come see my units, right? And that's what I want. I want to be close to my kids. I want to be close to my grandkids one day and whatever. So I have a goal of how many houses I want to own before I retire.
Right.
And that's so they have something. Not necessarily
beats the hell out of multi-generations in one house, because that's otherwise where it's going.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
absolutely
Like-
right. Yeah.
Like I want to have like a rental property for each of them. So when it comes time for them to buy a house, and if they can't afford the market close to me, I can liquidate that, and then that helps them stay close.
Well, the odd thing there is like we bought a cottage as our investment property 2005.
Oh fuck! Oh, 2021 for us,
Right.
Now,
Whereabouts?
I'm up in the Kawarthas, directly underneath Stony Lake, so I'm on a bit of small water.
Nice.
I had the benefit. A buddy of mine.
Wait, how close to Buckhorn are you?
Very.
No, we're not.
You're close.
We're
That's pretty close.
Close. I'm
Which lake?
on what's called Twin Lakes.
Yeah. You're
So
just
we're-
off
we're-
Stony. It's not like
Yeah,
you can
well,
get
I-
there from.
If I turn my GPS on, Stony Lake is 5.5 kilometers. Well, the Stony Lake Landing, the little pub we drink at, is 5.5h kilometers. But it takes
it's
me
all
20
connected though,
25
right?
minutes.
Like, are you on the Trent system still?
No,
Oh, okay. all right.
we're a separate. We're
right.
we're landlocked, which was it's good and bad. We don't have stones in ours, and
So it's not just a clever name.
no. So, but we've got we're spring fed, so we don't have any fluctuations in water,
Right.
And we're nice. It's clean water. But the good thing there is, I've always considered like the second properties is the idiot proof RRSP, and the cottage is an entrepreneur's best RRSP. It's an investment that. It's an investment that you enjoy. You can either see it in the bank account, or you get to have that same appreciation level, and you get to summer there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's an asset that you get to utilize yourself, right? I mean, I own 2 rentals right now, and I have 2 kids, so technically speaking, I will likely be pulling some equity out of them at one point, but probably transferring title to each one at some point as well. But just today, Steve and I signed an acceptance on a counteroffer on some land on Buckhorn Lake. For me, this is a huge deal. I grew up going to a resort on Buckhorn Lake called Oak Bay, right near where Upper and Lower meet, like right near the township there.
Right in the lock.
Exactly. And this is almost directly across. This is a 5-minute boat ride. And saw it online. I was negotiating the deal for like 3 days without Steve even knowing, because I wanted to show up to the property and go, do you like it? Yep. Good. I bought it. But the owners, I guess, had cold feet about it, and last night decided to tell me, we're going to take it off the market. And I was like, I was so pissed. I was so angry. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? You've had this thing listed. And they're like, well, because they can't close until next year for some reason. I said, all right. That worked out perfect for us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now they just pulled the rug out, and I was so angry.
Because it's a good deal.
Right. But, we talk about mindset a lot, right? So I'm like, you know what? I gave myself 5 minutes to be angry. And then I thought, okay, time to shift. And now it's like, okay, I'm getting my shit together. And when it hits the market next year, I don't care if it's double. I'm going to make sure I make enough money, or I can buy it cash. Well, this morning, I get a text message from the listing agent. Good news. They changed their mind. I was like, Steve,
Yeah.
fire up the Dodge.
We planned to leave this morning at 7 a.m. and go take a look at it. And I didn't know about this fucking surprise or whatever. We were going to sign all the paperwork today and then drop off the check and all that shit. And he tells me last night that it's off the market. And so I'm like, fuck it.
Right.
I'm not going to bed early. I did a bunch of research on real estate. I played Call of Duty with the producer Greg for a bit. I didn't get to bed till like 3 a.m.
Right.
This guy calls me. When did you call me?
Like, I don't know, 8:30, something like that.
9 o'clock. He
Yeah.
wakes me up. He's like, oh, did you get my text message? I'm like, I didn't even set my alarm. Today's canceled. He's like, oh, it's back up. Well, we got to go see it. I'm like, oh, let me brush my teeth. I'll come pick you up. And it was,
Right.
it was beautiful. I mean, there's ice and whatever, and you can't really get a grasp.
But
for
how
it
many
yet.
people would have just like felt defeated in a moment like that? And I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You seem like almost like you're a natural at this, right? That's why I asked you earlier, like what keeps you motivated and stuff. Some people just have it. Like, this is what I'm doing, and that's that. But I can't believe how many people say, oh, I'm going to go into business, and then they hit one obstacle and all of a sudden they're done. But you just said it yourself. I got to talk to 75 people to get a couple of pieces of business out of it. I mean,
it's talk to 75 people, get a couple pieces of business, go to bed, get up, and do it again.
Yeah.
And that's where.
But the word of mouth there helps too, because
dealing with rejection, like,
because
holy
you're
shit.
calling all local people when you originally started, right? So this guy says no, this guy says fuck off. Nardini's like, I can sell my own sausage or whatever. But then you help someone else out, and then he tells Nardini, oh, fucking Dave's ads, like my business went up by
I
1/3.
never cracked Nardini, but what was the other one? It was Morella grocery store. What was it? What was the old grocery store down at Barton and Millen?
Oh yeah, it was like Morella's or
yeah.
something. Yeah,
And
yeah.
her
Before
dad,
it was
yeah.
that fresh food place.
Yeah, Morella, and that where the Napa is now.
Yeah.
And then they moved down to Gray's, and it didn't do too well.
Mm-hmm.
They had good sausage.
Good sausage.
Let's talk about them then. Yeah, they had a good sausage.
Yeah.
They stopped
See,
advertising, and they went out of business.
There
It's
you
a
go,
tale of
right?
caution.
I know.
Yeah.
It's easier to send, paper advertising door to door than sausage door to door.
Yeah,
That's what I've learned today.
that's what I learned.
I don't know, but like, yeah, I mean, keeping in with a theme, we call this the Renovating Life podcast. We talk about, renovations and building our business, but it's also like who are we? How are we trying to develop ourselves as people and proper, mindsets and all this kind of stuff? And I mean, for me, like, this has been a hell of a start to the year. I used to be an account manager at Stelco. I got fired from my job, 6-figure job. And there's a lot of people that would have just, curled up into a little ball and felt sorry for themselves. And I said, fuck that. Immediately I went to work, boom. And when everything is said and done, just so far with everything that I've done this year, I have already tripled my income in the first 6 months of this year than I did working at Stelco. And shout out to our last guest, Lindsay Hewitt from lightenupchallenges.ca. She runs these weight loss challenges, and all three of us signed up, and I ended up coming in second on that one. I was so motivated. The first thing I did, I started waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was working out twice a day and journaling, everything, just trying to get this right, and nothing but success right from the get-go, just because it's an attitude, right? And you said it earlier too, like salesman A and B, right? This guy's willing to make the 200 calls a day and do what it takes to get shit done, and then there's this guy who's like, I'd like to be home at 4 o'clock.
Well, yeah, and you just nailed it. Like everything, I guess not everything. We can't generalize, but so much in life is personal attitude. I hurt myself years ago. At the cottage, I decided to test the adage that you're not supposed to start bonfires with gas. True story. You shouldn't do it. Yeah. So I'm rebuilt from the knees down, and actually I sit on the board at Hamilton Health, and when I took my interview there, they said, like, what's one of the motivators that you want to get involved with fundraising to help Hamilton Health? And I said, well, it's that old adage, I'm not just this. I'm also a customer. I said, I'm
also a client. Yeah.
And but I was in the general for 20 odd days getting my legs rebuilt from my.
Did it explode? What do you mean?
I thought the fire was out, so I threw a cup of gas on, and apparently it wasn't.
And when you woke up,
it was like Die Hard, but in reverse. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Cup explodes, legs fucked up.
A friend of mine, she said it the best. She goes, "It was your brightest and yet not brightest moment ever." But I went in and I came out in 21 days, and there was a guy that went into the hospital at the same time, and he was going to be in there for another 12 to 15 weeks. And I said, like, to the doc, like, what's the big difference? And he goes, you came in wanting to get up and out, right? Mm-hmm. Versus having a defeated attitude. Mm-hmm. And it's that mental attitude that you just have to get up, and no matter what life throws at you, get going.
Just fucking get it done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Positive mental attitude, right? That's been a big thing for us.
And kids don't start bonfires with gas.
Yeah.
Yes.
PSA.
Important safety tip.
PSA.
Don't cross the streams.
Yeah, don't
don't throw gas on a fire. Right. I want to get into why I'm in business, say the renovating business that takes, that's a huge part of your business. What is the process? I'm calling you. What are you going to do for me? I don't know nothing about marketing. Take me through the process and what people can expect when they're working with you guys.
Well, we touched on it a bit ago, and the real difference, what we're going to do is we're going to direct people to your business.
Right.
And what we do is very proactive. So we're going to put your marketing message, we're going to target that message, and we're going to put it into the hands of someone that's looking for your type of work. So
So are you sitting down with the with your client and saying, okay, like, what do you do? What's the message? Or you're helping them develop the message?
Yeah, and that's the key. So nobody wakes up in the morning and just kind of yawns and goes, you know what I need to do today? I need to buy some ads.
Yeah.
Right.
us and dentists, the people it's not something that you normally wake up and do. But you might know that, like, you need to do it. And part of it is everyone's watched that damn movie, Field of Dreams, where they get that little whisper, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And then, so what happens is you go into business for yourself and you have this little whisper, and if you build it, they will come. And there's that oil change place at the bottom of DeWitt. And I loved it.
It used to be a Pennzoil.
Yeah.
Now it's a Mobile.
They went out of business, and I got a picture of it somewhere.
Like, how the fuck do you go to business? Your 10-minute oil change.
But he had the best sign up ever. It was, I built it, and no one came.
No shit. He put that up there?
Yeah, it was on his.
When he went out of business. That's awesome.
But that's what happens with
it doesn't work for oil change companies, but maybe just rub and tugs.
Yeah.
That's a whole separate discussion.
That's
because
right.
There is a lot of those in the creek, apparently, for some weird reason.
Good Lord. Really? The hotbed.
But
Hotbed.
you take a look at it. These business guys, business people, hobbyists more than anything, get in, and what happens is they don't understand why they're not getting business, and then they go out of business. So our job is to connect them with their customers. So we'll do that in again, we've got the track record and the data in behind it to go in and say, okay, if you're in this business category, you need to get this many leads to fill your hopper. And if you are, so
you already know that. You already know what category they're in. You kind of
we know what
based on
category, we
experience.
know what the ad should look like, we know how many calls they should get, we know.
So do you start with how much business are you looking for, and then scale, reverse engineer? Or?
We kind of know it, depending on how big of a crew you have.
Okay.
What do you need? What size of market? How many thousands of homes are you going to? How many crews do you have? So from there, we'll just start going backwards. So you need this much business to be successful. You're going to buy this many ads, but from that, we'll know per 10,000, 12,500 homes you're advertising to, how many calls you're going to get. So how many calls do you need to be full? Mm-hmm. So if you are XYZ kitchen company here in Stony Creek, you might need 7 kitchens per year to hit your bucket.
Right.
Or you might need 70 kitchens, or you might need 700.
Right.
So once we understand what your need is, we'll tell you how many homes you should go to. Mm-hmm. Typically for every 12,500 to 25,000 homes, you're going to get this many calls.
Okay.
This many calls is going to equal this much in your cost per lead. That's one ROI. And then how much do you close? Your industry average should be for this many calls, you should close this many. Are you on industry?
Oh, okay.
So
and then maybe it's a matter of maybe your sales process isn't that good. Your follow up or your
yeah. But again, I'm Dave Letterman in this regards. I'm supposed to do a little bit of the top 10, not the complete of the top 10.
Right.
You have to actually do the sale.
Yeah.
I have to make your phones light up. But
that's what I mean. It might help somebody sort of streamline their business as well, where it's like based on our, massive amount of experience, we're sending out this many ads. You should be getting this much business. If you're not, then maybe you need to hire better salespeople.
And really,
sorry to cut you off, but that's why I went to Dave, because we're having trouble finding our next project. Mm-hmm. And we're like, all these other guys out here are making all these off-market deals and whatever. Why can't we get into that market? But I don't know how to get into that market, so that's why I went.
This is the entrepreneurial spirit, right? If we're not getting what we need, you pivot. You don't give up. You pivot, and that's why we're looking at different ways to find business, but also looking at different markets as well that other people might be ignoring.
But what it comes down to, I think, the biggest thing is you got a lot of advertising companies out there that will say, what do you want me to advertise for you? Mm-hmm. And that's the wrong. Like you're starting with a supposition that what you need.
Yeah,
that might not be the case.
Right. Based on your experience, that they'd be wasting their money if they just went that direction.
Yeah. So it starts to come down. You have to start with strategy and planning.
Yes.
So how much results do you need? And once we understand that, we'll take it from there.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like you're focusing on strategy and planning with them too. They're not just
message creation.
Yes.
Then message fulfillment.
And I think a lot of people might think like, okay, I'm doing print advertising. I'm afraid of just wasting my money, but you're helping them develop that message based on your experience.
Well, maybe we should have like a even better meeting with Dave and just talk to him about what our target market is. And who we should be targeting with what we want to do.
And once you understand, you've
like
got...
like Nicole, lovely Nicole, Dave's wife, told me, she's like, man, I wish more people were like you, because you gave us a bit of a quote on what we needed. And I was like, fuck, I'll spend that all day. If I get one hit off of that, like it's more than paid for.
So that's what you asked for was something that's called solo mail. So that's a postcard.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's two different ways. And so when you take a look at it, there's a couple different SKUs within what we call advertising mail. And it's going to be, it's all kind of what we call, it went from junk mail to smart mail.
Yeah.
And it's got all of the tracking metrics and everything. But solo direct mail lets us really target the hell out of who you're looking for. So, for example, so pretend you're a roofing company and you're looking for homes that are built before this year and they're owned and they have people that are earning X. And I need to go to the best 15,000 of those folks in my trade area. But what if you've got 7 crews and you are looking to feed all of them? So that now I have to move you into a shared mail product like one of our magazines or one of our shared media wraps, where we're getting that message out into not necessarily 15,000, but maybe 150,000 or 500,000 homes. And it all works if it's at the right rate and it's targeted to the right audience. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a roofing company or a dentist. And one of the weirdest mixes is if you understand. I was talking to a dentist and I said, "What's the difference between you and a lube oil filter center?" And he goes, "Well, what are you talking? Oh, I'm a dentist. I'm going to work on your teeth." I said, "Nothing is the difference."
Absolutely fucking.
And he
That's
goes,
true because
so
you
I think
provide
about
a
it.
service.
No. Even simpler.
About $100,000 in education. That's the difference.
No, but no, it's not though. That's the funny thing. So think about it.
I don't mean that in a good way.
A lube oil filter
Wasted.
place has got 4 hoists, 4 treatment rooms, and it needs to see 1 patient, 1 car every 20 minutes. And whether we call you up and say, "Hey, can I get an appointment there today? If are you accepting new patients?" It's all about optimization of what you need for your business.
But I don't get to look down the top of a
that's
hot
fucking
dental
awesome. Like,
hygienist at the oil change.
Like Dave just blew my mind because it's true.
Unless Gus
here we go.
Unless
What's the
Gus
error?
has a sweet set of cans on him, but
You know what? I'm gonna have to cut us off. We got to take a break. We got a bit of a technical issue. Dan's camera is fucked up.
hey, I'm not pretty enough for the camera anyway, and most
Yeah,
people
just-
listen to this shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to call
Okay,
you freeze
you know-
frame from here on out.
Freeze
Hey,
frame.
just-
yeah, put him on right now.
I'll get my daughter to
he's
draw
on.
a picture
He's
of
on
me.
freeze frame.
I'm putting a mustache on you right now.
There you go. I'll put.
A bigger one.
I'll just get my daughter to draw a picture of me, just like with like 4 hands and stuff like that.
Anyways,
We're gonna take a break?
Yeah, we'll be right back.
And now, back to the Renovating Life podcast.
Repeller. And
You have to take the cap off if you're going to pour.
I'm buckled already. See, I didn't have time for. I can't.
And we are back yet again, many hours later, and way too drunk to be doing this.
Technical difficulties.
Dave Vander Ploeg. No, Vander Ploeg. Sorry. I had
all
to,
good.
I had to pronounce a G at least one time. Direct Response Media Group, thanks for coming in and putting up with us for many.
I got 2 mics.
Yeah, we definitely need to put the camera on Steve while I'm talking because he's fondling his mics right now. He looks like he's motorboating some mics right now.
Well, I must admit, this is the longest half-hour interview ever.
Exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. I appreciate you taking the time to put up with us for, I don't know how long we've been here, but I really did learn a lot. And actually, you know what, frankly, in a digital media world, you know, like I really learned the value of print media and, you know, like it's not just, it's not just alive, but it's thriving, and it's probably something that you should consider if you have a business out there right now and you're considering, you know, advertising options or marketing options. in a world where everybody's paying per clicks and stuff like that, definitely reach out to Dave Vander Ploeg. Where can people find you?
drmg.com, dvan at drmg.ca or drmg.com.
Awesome. So again, really appreciate you coming and putting up with us for a few hours. We're gonna bring him in again. Steve is talking right now. The technical guy is having technical difficulties, as I was earlier in the.
That was one of our earliest mission statements.
Right.
Was these things, they happen. We've grown as an organization since then, but it was good when you would really screw something up and your 5-year-old would go, yeah, these things, they happen. He could reiterate the company mission statement at the time.
I love it. So sorry, where can they? Is there an email address, or should they just be going to the website and
go to
find
drmg.ca, dvan at drmg.ca.
Awesome. So until next time, my name is Dan Carroll for producer Greg. That's where we usually have applause.
Yeah. And my microphone fucking works.
Yeah, and Steve Kopak, the technical guy with technical difficulties, and our guest Dave Vander Ploeg saying, go out there, seek discomfort, and work like hell.
For more information on investing in real estate, visit battlefieldrei.com and follow us on Instagram at BattlefieldREI Inc. and at Renovating Hamilton. Music for the show provided by josephmcdade.com and voiceover by Mike Dawson.